Can this old Windows PC from 2010 turn into a NAS drive? Let's find out. Welcome back to Half Built. Today we're in the studio and we're looking at an old PC from around 2010. I'm pretty sure I built this back in 2009, maybe 2010. And we want to turn this into a network attached storage device for video backups, audio backups. As you can see, I play music as well. So this will store archived session files for my audio recording and also video for the channel. So what's the plan, you might ask? Well, we have this old Cooler Master case. This is the HAF 932. HAF is high airflow. As you can see, we've got some front. As you can see, we've got some front I/O here, some USB 2. Don't even know what this is, and we've got eSATA here. It's quite dirty and dusty, so it's going to get a bit of a cleanup today. We will remove this as well. The plan is long term to actually have some extra hard drive storage behind this. I've got a big ass fan here that runs over the hard drives as well, down the bottom. And yeah, let's have a look inside. So starting here, we've got our 5 1/4 inch drives. This is obviously where you put your CD drive and other associated 5 1/4 inch devices. Here we have our hard drive storage. Now, from what I understand, the first bay is suitable for a 2 1/2 inch drive, and the remainder bays are for 3 1/2 inch. I have 4 drives currently that I'll use for hard drive storage. The 2 terabyte will be my parity drive, and then I've got 2 500 gig and 1 terabyte, and they will be my data drives for now. The plan is to expand that to an 8 terabyte parity drive, and then use the full 4 terabytes as data storage. Obviously, they're not NAS drives. The 8 terabyte is. I will be changing those over time as I can afford the upgrade. But at least that way I'm protected short term. While I'm setting it up as a 2 terabyte storage, that's only temporary, and I do have another backup, so I'm not risking my data here. So there's a few things that need to change here. Obviously, cable management is a mess. This was the first PC I ever built. Didn't really care much about cable management and didn't really know much about PC building. So we've got 4 sticks of RAM here, got our GPU here. We've got some other PCIe slots there, and we've just got a bunch of fans and a bunch of power cables going all over the place. I'm actually going to replace this motherboard with a B650 board. I'm actually going to take the chip out of this one. So this PC is running AM5 chip, and it's a 8700G, and that's integrated graphics. Over here, you can see I have a graphics card. I don't want this. I don't want this in there at all. So I'll remove that. I can run this headless basically, but I'll leave that connected just for the short term until I decide whether or not I want to upgrade that. So if I upgrade this, I'm going for the 9800 X3D, the AMD Ryzen 7, and that'll pair nicely with that 5080 in there. But this one here, I will run it like this for now. I don't even know what chip's in there. It's an AM3 chip, obviously. It's an AM3 board. But this will be predominantly a test scenario until I get my 8 terabyte drive. And the goal is to have that 8 terabyte drive trigger the expansion of the rest of this. As I start to build more video content, I'm obviously going to need to upgrade. So my 8 terabyte drive will start off as a parity drive, and then we'll move to a 16 terabyte parity drive when I move that to a data drive. So today's goal we're going to get this cleaned up. I'm going to vacuum inside a little bit, and I'm going to pull the other panel off and have a look at some cable management if I can. I'm going to reinstall the drives, and I'm going to get Unraid installed on a USB, and then we'll see where we can go with getting that all sorted out. So I've got a 2.5 inch, that's our case drive, so that's going to sit, I'm just going to pop that in there actually and sit that there. The other drives I will pop in. So this is the old push pin system. I don't really like it, to be honest. I'm just going to pop a couple of pins in each. They've got little retainers that hold them in, but I don't like those either because they degrade, these little rubber things. Some of them started to break. Better off not even having them fixed and just having it held in by this little clip, because once that clips in, it doesn't come out. Alright, so I've just taken this board off the top. I'm just going to try and get this SATA cable out because I need that for down the bottom. Looks like it's bloody sealed in there with a bit of glue.
So right about here, the microphone decided to not work. Basically just showing you the glue that was used to hold the SATA connection in. From this point, it's just going to be me screwing that off. I've cut the footage from here on until the audio comes back. Basically, I put the case back together, rewired everything. It's still pretty rough in there, so when I change the board, I will fix the rest of it. But essentially, we've got case back together, all the hard drives installed and connected, and we're attempting to install Unraid. Now, here's where I ran into quite a few issues. I attempted to install, but my USB drive was corrupt, so I had to essentially wait until I was able to get a new USB drive and reattempt installation. So here we are. I've got a few monitors, as you would have seen in the background. The one at the top is what's plugged into this computer, and essentially every time I got to the boot screen, it wouldn't actually boot the software that we were trying to boot from the USB. Turns out this was a combination of two issues. One, the drive wasn't copying across all the files, so it wasn't actually, like, some of the files were corrupt and it wasn't actually able to read them. So even when I removed and forced legacy BIOS mode, it wouldn't actually work. The second was the legacy BIOS mode. So this is an AM3 chip, and the BIOS in there was so old, and the board and the equipment are so old that basically I couldn't use the UEFI boot mode. And the drive, when you create the image on the zip, you download the zip to the USB. Basically, it contains both, so it can do legacy or it can do the UEFI mode. Changing that, removing that didn't help, so got a new USB drive, plugged it in, imaged it, plugged it back in, and we ended up getting it working. So I'll cut to a clip of the final product. Won't bore you with the countless times me resetting this, changing some settings and retrying and deleting files and and that sort of thing.
Alright guys, welcome back. So it's been a little while since I filmed the other parts. I had some issues with getting Unraid to run, so we had a little bit of a change in the USB. So it's not this one, this is just for the mouse. I've got a new USB in the back that I purchased just for the Unraid. The other one was giving me some problems, and the computer's so old because it's an AM3. I haven't updated any BIOS, I haven't updated anything. This is literally just how it was back in 2010. The BIOS was so old that it only supports legacy boot, so I had to override the UEFI boot settings and get it to run. Thanks to a lot of Googling. It took me a few attempts to figure this out. So this is a 5 1/4 inch converter. It takes the spacing for 3 5 1/4 inch drives, which is normally your CD drive, DVD drive, those kind of things. And in old computers, we used to have a lot of space for those in some towers. So this basically converts that to 4 hard drive bays. In this case, I've got 6. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I can now run an extra 6 drives in here. Now I've only got 6 SATA connections all up, so technically with the 5 down here, plus this one, plus the 6, I'm not going to have enough. So I will be getting a PCIe slot adapter, I guess you'd call it, to convert, or not convert, to add on more SATA connections, and that'll allow me to have more drives. I will also have to get more power, so I'll use the Molex connectors to the SATA connections. I do have some spares, so I've got another bank of I think 3 or 4 spare that I can run from the power supply, but I'll need to convert with Molex connectors to the others. So you can see I've got quite a few fans in here. We've got this one here, we've got this one here, and they both pull into the case. We've got that one at the back there, and then we've also got another one on the top of the case. Obviously hot air risers, so those 2 fans sitting at the top side of the case, these 2 fans sitting at the bottom and the side will pull in air. So that fan on the side pulls in air over the GPU. It's supposed to be to help perform cooling on those PCIe slots. And then this fan pulls in air over the hard drive and will eventually get over the GPU and motherboard as well. So what's going to happen here is this will end up with another one of these on top, and I've got a couple of spare fan headers in there and I can convert off them anyway. These will actually get a 120mm fan on each, so I'll have another 2 fans pulling air across the hard drives in here to do this. The same as this. This is made of PLA. It's a non-heat resistant material, so obviously having the fan in there will keep the hard drives cooler. This shouldn't get above 30 degrees from what I've been hearing with some other people who have used PLA to print. Some people have said it gets quite hot and it melts a little bit, and they lose they basically lose their hard drives out the back or out the side as it starts to shift and slant. This case is pretty hefty. It's a high airflow case. That's the HAF designation and the model number. So I'm hoping with the addition of 2 fans this actually stays pretty cool. I can measure that, so I will measure that and check it. But basically, if the PLA fails, I can print it in PETG, or I've got some ASA there as well, which I don't really want to use for that. But yeah, we'll get this, another one of these printed. I've got all of the connectors. These basically slide in here and allow you to slide your hard drive in from the back, and it holds it in place in the rail. So there's some cutouts here for the hard drives to slot into, and these holes line up, these little prongs line up with the holes on the hard drive to mount them. So pretty cool. I'll obviously try and get some kind of clip that goes on to screw into the fan screws potentially. So
maybe a 3-bay square and then another square up here, which would be pretty cool. But yeah, let's have a look. Unraid booting. So as I mentioned, this is an old PC. I haven't updated any of the BIOS or anything like that. It takes a minute to boot. That's just because it's booting off the USB. So it will auto select that if I didn't select it, but and I've just got this screen in here. This is obviously I didn't select the one with the GUI on it, so this is just going to be the headless version. It'll basically just show you this. You can type into the terminal, similar to like other headless installations, but basically I can SSH in from my other computers. So this does take a little bit to get past these. This does take a little bit of time to get past these first steps. As you can see, it'll resize the screen to match the proper text size now. While I'm here, I'll just give you a look at what we got in the comms rack. A bit dusty, a bit dirty. This is not in its final position. As you can tell from the cable management as well, there's a little bit of work to be done here. But basically this is the Unified Dream Machine Pro. I've got a 250 watt switch here, 24 port switch, so that gives me the ability to run other things in here. This only has the 8 ports, and I think only 4 of them are PoE capable, and it doesn't have full PoE capability either. It actually doesn't have the voltage support to do all of what I need to do, where this, being the old school one, actually does. This is just a like blank keystone rack unit. I do have to shave off some little bits here so I can put these fiber ones close together. This is an aggregation switch, 10 gig fiber aggregation switch, and that's just so I can bring all of my SFP modules in here and connect direct to the fiber connections that are coming from other areas. And this is the UNVR Pro. We've got a Hue bridge down here. We've got an old MyCloud, Western Digital MyCloud. I've got a couple of Raspberry Pis. I've got my Starlink block, and I've got a little NUC here that runs my Home Assistant. And there's a whole pile of rubbish and tools down the bottom that I'm still cleaning up. Basically, Starlink comes in, and the Starlink feeds into here and gives me my network, and then we have the SFP connection down to my aggregation switch here, and that just connects then all of the fiber connections here can connect back into this one here through that aggregation switch. So this one comes from the shed, this one comes from my gate, and this one comes from my garage. Now this is about 10 meters away. I ran it the long way though, because I had to run out across the driveway and then down the side to get between the sheds. So these two are basically the same length. This one's about 170 meters. I've got the connection all the way down in the street to the front gate, and I've also run a draw wire through that, so I've got the larger conduit in there, and I can run another fiber connection in there if I need to. That allows me, if I do end up getting fiber connection in my street, I can already bring in fiber, and we can just plug him in up here with this 10 gig WAN port SFP. So I do have to obviously fix up all of this so it's nice and neat like this. I have started. This is my cameras and other connections that are in the house. So all of my house connections come in here and they run out. So I've got TV, you know, my U6 lights, I've got the front door camera, driveway camera, that sort of thing. So those all connect in to ports here, and the same will happen along here. Obviously, this is to connect the switch here. I ran out of SFP and DAC cables, so I just need to connect this into here, and then everything will be all fine. That's pretty much it. This will get a bit of an upgrade. We are doing a lot of house renovation works, as I mentioned before. So when we add on a utility room, this will go in the utility room with my hot water system and my Unraid server, and that's it. That's literally everything that's going to be in there. So I'm going to be printing some little 1RU 3D printed things to put these kind of things in, like the Raspberry Pi, 2 Raspberry Pis, the NUC and the bridge. They will sit on a shelf that has a retractable like drawer function, which is pretty cool. I found those on like Thingiverse or Printables or something, so I'll be checking those out. And yeah, don't mind the missing screws. I've got a bag of screws to complete everything. This was just getting it all in, and I never came back to it, so clearly half built.